The War of Unification, more commonly known as the Unification War, was a 5-year battle that pitted the independent planets against the Union of Allied planets. There is, surprisingly, a large lack of information and lore on this topic. I know it's discussed throughout the show, in the movie, and in literature, but there are still large gaps in both information and history. It's also important to remember that we are seeing only one side of the coin in the war as well. All of the information provided to us are by the losers of the war, the ones who felt slighted. So let's attempt to take this from a more neutral stance. Definitely taking into account what's said and what we see from the Alliance, but also considering what's inferred on the side of the Independents. The Unification War started the way these things usually do, over power and resources. The verse exists with inner planets and ones on the outer border. The further out you go, you'll find the planets are much less refined. Additionally, resources are very low as well. Truth is, from what I can tell, the central planets really had everything they could need or wish for. They weren't even leeching from the outer planets all that much. In theory, it seemed like the central planets could exist without even the existence of anyone else. It wasn't as cheery for the border planets, though. The resources were tight and they needed everything they could muster. The outer planets had very little say in any affairs within the government, and what they did have in resources, the Alliance was more than happy to take from them. So in order to govern themselves and to be let be, they declared their independence. The Union of Planets, otherwise known as the Alliance, didn't really lose much when the outer planets did this. The Alliance maintained its own resources. They had the bulk of the military, and honestly, it wasn't really a big deal. Except, politically, it did make the powers that be look weak. The war was fought. Tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands lost their lives because politicians didn't want to lose face. We don't know who fired the first shot, though context clues exist within the series. Given what we see of the Alliance, how impulsive and strong-armed they can be, I'd be comfortable saying that the Alliance probably did fire the first shot. Regardless of whom fired the first shot, though, the war was lost before it had even begun. The Union of Planets had most of the military hardware, had the superior military capacity and industrial complex. They were also more technologically evolved. There was nothing going for the independent planets. Though the war did last from 2506 to 2511, the fact that the independent planets lasted so long is a testament to their resolve and ingenuity, honestly. And to their credit, they did attempt to converge resources and put together military installations and even training camps to fight the Alliance. The ships used were commonly Alliance ships, whether it be crewed by Independents or Union of Planets. Most common hardware was Alliance, most technology was Alliance, though the Independents did do a good job of retrofitting Independent designs. The Firefly class, for instance, had been retrofitted by the Independents and worked really well as a gunboat. The Independents were also known as browncoats, their garb generally having such attire, though it's my understanding that these coats could be laced with different pieces of armor which added protection, so they didn't just wear it because it looked fashionable. The Union of Planets was known more as purple bellies, their armor being purple and, you guessed it, some of that armor protecting the torso and stomach. Again, we don't know much, less than a paragraph really for any specific engagement. One of the battles we do know about includes the Battle of Sturgis, which was the first battle to introduce the Alliance fast attack ship. This was the bloodiest battle of the war and happened solely in space. From what I could gather, the battle was fought over money, which supposedly was left in the debris of that battle. Apparently they didn't come back for it, even though that's why they fought for it. We do know a bit more about the Duquesne battle, which was a protracted siege between the Alliance and the Independents. The battle was towards the end of the war when the Independents were enduring loss after loss. A young Malcolm Reynolds had taken over control of his unit, though without actually being authorized to do so, and garnered units together in order to make a last stand as the Alliance was just rolling over them with tanks and armor. I couldn't really find how that battle actually ended, but I assume they somehow got away since we see Malcolm at other points of the battle, and obviously he had not been captured at that point. The last battle I'll discuss is that of the Serenity. We honestly know the most about the Battle of Serenity, as it's one of the large motivators of the series itself. The Battle of Serenity is often referred to as the Battle of Gettysburg. It's where the Alliance really got the upper hand and that the Independents were unable to counter or gain momentum back. The Battle of Serenity was like the other battles we know of. It was less of the Independents putting up any semblance of an actual fight and more of an attempt just to hold back the tide. In fact, so many of the Independent leadership died that Sergeant Malcolm took command of over 2,000 people. The tactics were pretty simple. Hit and run to hold them back, but no attempt at actually winning. While not in the official canon, deleted scenes from the battle do tell that over 500,000 men lost their lives on Serenity, 330,000 of them being Independents. Perhaps one of the most horrific things of the war was that, even after surrendering, the Purple Bellies didn't offer the Browncoats food or supplies. In the Battle of Serenity itself, many of the people died from disease, not combat. The Alliance was inclined to punish the Independents. Let them die or starve. We also know that the Alliance would dabble in weapons of mass destruction and chemical warfare, though I do wonder if the Browncoats wouldn't be doing the same thing had they had the chance. Now let me take a moment to say that I am a firm believer that the Independents should have won. I'll say that I'm a browncoat like any other nerd. However, that said, I do believe that both sides were probably corrupt in ways. When we look at the outer planets, they were less civilized. We see drugs, we see crime, we see pirating, we see slavery. Now sure, maybe you could say that was a post-unification war thing and that it didn't exist beforehand, but the canon doesn't match up with that. It is made to seem that the Independents were always less civilized. I'm inclined to think that these things probably existed before as well. The Alliance, again as evil as you can get with human experimentation and government intrusion, did boast diversity, did boast equality, had higher education, medicine, and let the liberal use of the arts flow free. It was a gilded cage for a lot of people. So was the war justified? Absolutely. Was it done by a group of poor people who were just downtrodden and as sinless as the white fallen snow? Absolutely not. The Unification War, like all wars, was fought by flawed people, and I believe that people on both sides just wanted what they thought was best. But in the end, it was corruption that really pushed that war. And because that corruption existed, a lot of people died. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Firefly lore. Hey, want to get a chance to get in an extra vote for what type of tattoo I will be getting? Well, here are 2 chances. First, after you comment below, include what series you would like me to get my tattoo from, so Star Wars, Star Trek, Firefly, not what kind, just what lore, and put right next to it hashtag LoreReloaded10K at the end of the comment. And then go to my Twitter, @LoreReloaded, follow me, and put what kind of tattoo you want with the same hashtag. And of course, also tag me. And boom, 2 extra votes. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next Lore Reloaded.